Hey guys, Speed here, and today I'll be sharing what I thought the best supports of TI8 were. I was fortunate enough to go to the event, so I've compiled a lot of my ideas and thoughts on pretty much everything, so I'll be sharing specifically today what I thought the best supports were and giving a few honorable mentions, because there was definitely a lot of heroes that I thought were very prominent throughout the tournament. So starting at number 5, I would give it to Tusk. Mainly because I don't think this hero by any means was the most dominant support of the tournament, but I was very surprised by Tusk as a whole because I thought the hero was fairly irrelevant ever since the rowing meta kind of has been phased out. But the hero boasted a very impressive win rate of 61% over 47 games of being picked, which is nothing to laugh at. Any hero above 60% is just very, very impressive. And especially considering the hero's been nerfed over and over and over again and still manages to stay relevant, just shows how valuable this hero's kit is in the proper environment. I think it will take a long time before Tusk is completely phased out of Dota, just because he provides so many things that other heroes don't. And that's why he gets the number 5 spot for me. For number 4, I put Nyx. This was a hero that has gone in and out of the meta for quite a while. A few patches ago, well, not a few, but many patches ago, the hero was picked pretty much solely for his Sunray, which was doing pure damage at the time. But for this TI, Nyx was picked as more of a utility mix, where you would pick him, of course, in the past you'd pick him for teamfight as well, but you would pick him for this nice mix of teamfight, and Fire Spirits were being used as a great tool to have in the laning stage, and Nyx has one of the best talent trees in Dota right now. He has a great GPM talent. His Fire Spirits talent is amazing. There's just a lot of reasons that make this hero a great pick. And as many say, teamfight kind of dictates TI, and this hero is definitely one of the greatest team fighters. Finally, Nyx, over 43 games of play, also had a 60% win rate, showing how good the hero actually is. At the number 3 position, I put Nyx Assassin, and this was a hero that wasn't necessarily as popular throughout the entirety of the tournament, but I thought the few games I watched from Nyx Assassin, specifically when Zai played it for Optic, his performance was incredibly dominating, really. He showed the great strengths of the hero and how Nyx Assassin can just make the map feel like a battlefield filled with landmines. Honestly, wherever he went, he got a kill, and he just consistently was setting up kills. It was pretty absurd. And when I was looking over the win rates for all the heroes, I was surprised to see that Nyx Assassin had a 64% win rate. It was only over 31 games, so not too crazy, but enough, a pretty large sample size. 31 is nothing to laugh at, and therefore I put him at the number 3 position, where I didn't even think too much of this hero. I definitely saw him in the tournament and was impressed by the hero. I'm a big fan of the hero because of his just all the things he provides. It's just a nice stun, a lot of map control, vision. Sometimes he can fall a little bit flat in the laning stage, depending on the lanes, but his win rate really shows that the hero has a ton of potential when picked in the right games. For the number 2 position, I wasn't really sure where I was going to put the number 2 and the 1 in this video, but I decided to put Chen at number 2. The hero had a 62% win rate over 53 games, but I thought the most impressive stat about Chen was that he was banned 222 times, which is an absurd stat. This hero is very, very contested all throughout the tournament. There's a lot of great players who play the hero. A couple notable ones, are Puppy for Secret. He would pick it almost every chance he got. And No Tail as well for OG, the winning team. Played an amazing Chen throughout the tournament. And this hero was highly contested and remains to be, in my opinion, one of the most interesting heroes to watch, as the hero can dominate laning stage, just make some spectacular plays if the player is experienced enough on the hero, because it's a very hard hero to play, especially in the mid game when fights are chaotic. But it still remains to be, even after its huge nerfs to Holy Persuasion, one of the most dominant heroes in Dota. And finally, for the number 1 position, I felt like I had no choice but to give it to Earthshaker. I mean, really, the hero dictated a lot of the grand finals. OG and LGD really, highly prioritize this hero, and honestly, it's just a blast to watch this hero every year at TI, and it proved to be, again, just a great support. Especially with Enchantress, this hero was paired many times with Enchantress throughout the tournament, because you would be able to work into Earthshaker's kind of poor laning stage with Enchantress's amazing laning stage, and therefore they'd kind of balance each other out, and you'd have a very nice mix of teamfight and lane dominance. But Earthshaker was pretty much picked regardless by many teams, especially LGD and OG, throughout the tournament, because of how dominant the hero can be and how explosive it is. Even though the roaming meta has been phased out, Earthshaker can play into the lanes by blocking creep waves and just providing a nice mix between roaming and laning because of his ability to change up the laning stage. And Earthshaker's statistics don't really let him down either. I probably would have put this hero potentially at number 1, even if he had worse statistics than he had. But Earthshaker over 53 games had a 58% win rate, which is extremely impressive. Once again, same thing for Tusk. I thought these roaming heroes weren't going to be that popular, but now everyone's just kind of thinking back through Dota, and things like tri-lanes and roamers. People figured out, the dual lane meta, and Dota as a whole is not as static as it has to be. Of course, dual lanes work and are still very dominant because of the deny mechanic, but heroes like Earthshaker and Tusk are still seeing much popularity. And I definitely like to give some honorable mentions before we end the video, because there was a few other heroes that I definitely think were extremely potent throughout the tournament and highly prioritized, more so than many of the heroes that I gave best supports to. If I was to say most popular supports, I would have to give it to many of these honorable mentions, starting at Silencer. This is a hero that pretty much has been irrelevant for a while now. It's never really had a place, but its laning stage is just incredibly strong, and it gives some nice teamfight. So it only had a 52% win rate, but it was picked 73 times, which is double, the heroes like Nyx Assassin that I gave best support to. And it was banned 114 times. Pretty crazy. It was getting banned first phase against Notel in the grand finals, and first phase against many of the other teams, I believe. So Silencer definitely was one of the most contested supports at the tournament. Same thing for Dark Willow. Dark Willow was picked 78 times. Teams maybe weren't necessarily most willing to ban it in the first phase. It was banned 44 times still, but it was often getting first phase with Wraith King as a dual lane combo, and still had a good win rate of 52%. Vengeful Spirit was a hero that for a while was sometimes played as a carry and then occasionally played as a 5, but really wasn't that popular. But throughout TI, it was seen to be picked in these interesting dual lanes of sometimes Wraith King dual lanes, but primarily Weaver dual lanes, where Venge and Weaver would just provide a crazy amount of minus armor and dominate lanes that way. And the hero had a 54% win rate, which is very good. Over 93 games of getting played, this hero was picked so much throughout the tournament. It just kind of provides a lot of what you want in Dota. It gives you damage amp for physical comp, it gives you a save, and most importantly in a lot of games, it gives you a stun. And a very low cooldown at that, 10 seconds at all levels, is very good for a stun. And finally, one that's maybe a little bit more unconventional and only was picked 23 times. My last honorable mention would go to Earth Spirit. It was picked by some highly respected teams, specifically Liquid. And I just thought it was crazy to see this hero because, Earthshaker and Tusk have ways to influence dual lanes through their ability to block waves and such. But Earth Spirit doesn't have this really at all. His laning is incredibly weak, but apparently teams were valuing him just because of his crazy amount of control. It's surprising, you'd think after all the crazy nerfs that this hero's received that he'd finally be phased out, but teams are still finding ways to see him as value. A hero with a stun and a silence is hard to take out of consideration in Dota, so a 52% win rate also is pretty solid, right? The hero stayed above the 50% mark. And, being picked 23 times, that's definitely something to consider if teams will be picking him in the future or not. Alright, thank you guys for watching my video on the best supports of TI. If you think I missed anything, definitely comment in the comment section below on heroes that you thought were the most dominant of TI, and thanks for watching.